What's up, guys? Welcome to Vintage Genetics, where it is all about classic bodybuilding, and the MiniCut has begun. And I've told you guys this on Instagram a little bit, but for those who don't know yet, I started the MiniCut of about at least 4 weeks to cut down on fat a little bit, improve insulin sensitivity, and to make sure that I don't have an off season that's way too long with a few weeks being unproductive. So that's what we're doing, lowering the carbs, upping the cardio. I just did half an hour of walking outside. The old route I used to do for the Romania Pro feels nostalgic actually, because I've been doing that for so long. But let's start now with the breakfast. Okay, so I'm in the kitchen right now. Have my breakfast in front of me, pretty much the carb source first. So we are lowering the carbs, and normally I like to use cream of rice, oatmeal, or some other grain breakfast product. So I combined the grain product and the cream of rice and pretty much removed 50 grams of the carb source from this meal. And this still is the biggest meal of the day now, because the rest of the meals will be much smaller as well. A MiniCut is called Mini, but it's actually an aggressive cut for 4 weeks, and while you're doing the cut you have to monitor performance in the gym, because that shouldn't suffer. The moment that starts to suffer, then you know you're going too steeply down, too deep, and that's not what you want. So let me show you the breakfast. Okay, as you can see, 100 grams in total, and normally I have 150 grams of this. This is cream of rice combined with a whole grain product like an oatmeal, but a lot finer with more multiple grains. Just gives a different texture, different B vitamins actually in there. So I have to add only a little amount of water here. I used to be very full of my breakfast, and now when I eat this I'm actually hungry. So there's a really small difference what you can eat when feeling hungry and not hungry. So this lets me feel hungry, only 50 grams more, and I'm really full. So let me show you the end result. Okay guys, this is the end result. We have the 100 grams of the cream of rice combination. We then added some blueberries, 100 grams. And by the way, the rest didn't really change compared to before the MiniCut. So 15 grams of natural peanut butter, 15 grams of 80% dark chocolate, and 60 grams of Become Gladiator whey isolate made by myself. And also we have a nice kiwi with the skin to help with protein digestion and a little bit extra fiber. So this meal is not big at all for me. You know, it actually it's about 2/3 of the size it used to be. So when I eat this, within 2 hours I'm very hungry again. Normally you would say, well, isn't that normal? Yeah, if the breakfast wasn't the biggest meal of the day. Normally when I have this breakfast, it would take 4 hours at least before I get an appetite again for the next meal. So that is a big difference. So I'm going to enjoy this, because the smaller the meal is, the more you enjoy it. And that's also one of the benefits of prepping for a show or cutting in general. You will learn to enjoy your foods more, add more vegetables, make it more voluminous, get in more micronutrients. And some people even improve their performance when cutting, because their meals, each meal is healthier compared to before, where it was only the carbohydrates or only the potatoes with the fish or the meat. And now, because it's less carbs, you add more vegetables, and with the vegetables come micronutrients which help in performance eventually. So what a day it has been already. So you guys saw me eating the breakfast, and after that, well, pretty much right when I was going to start eating my breakfast, I looked at my computer and saw no internet. I looked at my phone and there's no Wi-Fi. So on this day I was supposed to change internet providers. However, the package, the modem and stuff did not arrive in time. So I had to reschedule the appointment of installing the modem. So it has to move to next week. However, the connection was still changed today. So the old modem of the previous provider is still in place, but the connection is gone. So there's no internet and I have to wait until next week. Now, you might think, well, that's a first world problem, obviously, but you don't know what you're missing until it's gone. And for me, internet at home is very important because it's the backbone of my work, my coaching, my emails, my YouTube channel, everything. I do have 4G on my phone, but it doesn't extend far enough for me, in terms of working on a computer. I don't have Wi-Fi on my desktop. So in order to actually get an internet, I called up the new provider, and we luckily have a phone service already with that particular provider. So they sent us a link for unlimited internet on the phone. And now with the phone, we have to use a hotspot so the phone can send out a Wi-Fi signal for other devices to use, such as a computer, a TV, other phones. Can all use the unlimited data from that one source phone, who now has 7 days of unlimited data. However, as I said, my desktop computer, and some computers do, but mine doesn't at home, it doesn't have Wi-Fi built into the motherboard. So here at the gym, I do still have internet. It's a different company doing the internet here. But I do have Wi-Fi on this desktop computer, but not at home. So what I needed to do is purchase a Wi-Fi adapter. So I went to the store. It's called Coolblue here in the Netherlands. So I looked up online, and it said, well, you can order it, but it's going to be here tomorrow. And I need it today. So it said, well, you can pick it up at a store in your city. So I went there, parked my car. But since, it's a weird situation right now in terms of how many people can go in the store, I walked there and there was a row outside of the store. So I had to wait. And then they also put up a sign, you can't really browse the store. You have to make an order beforehand and then pick up the package. So it actually, is a flow in the movement of people going in and out. So while I was standing in a row, I read that and was like, oh, I did not make an order. So I went on my phone, went to the website, put a reservation for my order there so I could actually pick up the package as if I had already ordered my package before. So finally, now to make a long story short, we had no internet. Now we have a phone that provides the internet for 7 days until it's actually installed officially. And I had to purchase a Wi-Fi adapter for my desktop to actually get the Wi-Fi connection. Otherwise I still couldn't be able to do anything anyway. And my laptop, well, it's a possibility, but it's very slow and outdated. And I know it's a long story and some people might not care, but for me, I just had to get it out there. It's, might seem easy to say, but when you actually have to go through all the processes, you don't know beforehand what's possible. So step by step, it's always going to be fixed. But right now, I'm at the gym, working on some coaching plans, working on school actually, which is almost finished. And I'm gonna train legs after this. I already took my pre-workout. I already took some whey isolate, 20 grams beforehand, because I spent a lot of time doing this in between a breakfast and now. So I needed a protein source in between, which is obviously the Become Gladiator whey isolate. Anyway, let's go train legs. Alright, so I'm showing you one of my working sets of the hack squat. So I'm using the maximum weight here as my working set number 1. I did some feeder sets before, and with feeder sets I mean a couple of sets of 10 reps using lighter weight, building up to this weight. The plates closest to me are 15 kilograms, the red ones are 25, the green ones are 50, and the thick one on the sides are 20 each. So that was quite heavy for me, at least on this particular hack squat. Every single hack squat I've ever tried, feel very differently. So it took me a while to actually do the same weight on hack squats on this one compared to the one I did years ago in a different gym. But that doesn't matter as long as there's progressive overload. What I did do is, if you look at the back, I attached some resistance bands to remove some of the tension at the bottom to help your knees actually recover a lot better from this movement. Definitely try that out. Alright, just got done working out. it's still, even though I'm gonna have my post-workout meal, it's going to be the same as any other day. Normally on a leg day it would be a bit higher, but in this MiniCut I don't discriminate between days, except for the post-workout shake. On the leg day I take a bit more whey isolate compared to any other day, because obviously the legs are a bigger muscle group, but they also are a weaker point in my physique, which I always need to improve upon. So 60 grams I'm using of this Gladiator Pro whey isolate. Now, whey isolate digests and absorbs really quickly, especially when the content inside is as superior as this. It says it has, let's see, 91 grams of protein per 100 grams. That's very high, and I put 60 grams in here. You don't need to put in a lot of water with it, which is also a benefit. So only 200 mils of water, 60 grams of whey isolate from the best brand, in my opinion. Obviously, if you make it yourself, you want to make sure it is the best brand you can find. BecomeGladiator.com. A leg day, 60 grams. Any other day, around 45 grams post-workout. So let's enjoy this, and then the post-workout meal. Okay, this is the post-workout meal. As you can see, a lot more vegetables than usual, because the rice has been minimized to only 60 grams cooked. And all of the other meals are 30 grams cooked rice instead of the 170 grams uncooked that I would eat here in this meal. So we have some shrimps, actually, a different protein source. I always switch between whitefish, different kinds like tuna, halibut, codfish, pollock fish, or shrimps. And then we also added some avocado. Normally I don't add any fats to the post-workout meal, but now it's all about resensitizing the insulin, basically insulin sensitivity improvements in your muscle cells. That's what you want. The more sensitive they are, the better they will respond, and the less insulin you have to produce, and the less chance of building fat there is. And if you have a long off season, you will get less insulin sensitive. And we also have, of course, this kiwi, only having this in the morning and post-workout as an extra carb source and to help digesting the protein. So also added some salt in here, and yeah, let's enjoy this. Alright, so this is the situation as of now. This is the Wi-Fi adapter connected to this phone at a hotspot, because this is connected to the provider. And now I luckily have some internet, doing a lot of emails and making sure I do the work for coaching, workout plans, nutrition plans, and stuff like that. Yeah, I just had my third meal of the day as well. It was the same exact meal as the post-workout meal, except 30 grams less rice. So normally I do 60 grams of uncooked rice for the post-workout, and now I did 30 grams of uncooked rice for 3 other meals of the day. And the last meal will be the most different, because I like to eat very clean, very consistent right now. But the last meal will be the most different compared to those 4 with the rice. Anyway, let's continue to work. Okay, so right now it's time for the last meal of the day. Had a couple more meals that you saw beforehand with the peas and the rice and the whitefish. This is going to be the last meal of the day. In this meal I like to have a bit more vegetables, like these Brussels sprouts, around 300 grams as you can see. I'm going to steam them in this container for about 5 minutes in the microwave. I'll also have around 200 grams of pineapple next to my meal. Again, I take a kiwi in the morning and post-workout for the digestive properties. And this pineapple has bromelain in there, another digestive enzyme. And in my opinion, when it's occurring naturally in food, it's going to be better than a digestive enzyme supplement. So whenever you can take this with all the other added phytonutrients and micronutrients, it's always going to be better. We're also going to combine it with a bit of rice. This is the 30 grams of uncooked rice. I don't know, it's probably around 65 grams of cooked rice right now, with turmeric and ginger in there, of course. And there will also be a salmon, which I will show you in a minute. Okay, we got the salmon right here. Looks a little weird, and that's because it was already cooked in vacuum sealed container at the sous vide machine at 55 degrees for an hour and 20 minutes actually. So the white stuff you see on the surface, a lot of people think that that's fat, but actually it is not fat. It is protein, cooked, congelated protein. So the easiest way to compare this is when you actually cook egg whites. It has the same consistency, same color, and that's what happens to the protein in some meats and some fish and some chicken. And they see that little bit of white coming out, thinking they got rid of the last amounts of fat. That's the bro science explanation of it. Now, I don't have the actual science explanation of it, but I do know enough that that white stuff is protein. It's not fat what you see, it's protein. Do you know what fat is? That's fat right there. See that? That's the oil and the fat we're talking about. When we're talking about the fat in the fish, the white stuff is protein. Yeah guys, we are back to where it all fits in a simple Tupperware box. The meals have been smaller. Now you have to imagine the carbs in here. I would probably eat, let's see, 5 to 6 times as much during the last meal. Of course, then the vegetables will be less. The salmon will be the same though, just the carbs will be more. That's pretty much the only thing that I lowered during this mini cut. But as you can see, this salmon has been fried basically on the skin in the pan. Beautiful. Look at that. Listen to that. That's perfection. A lot of people take the skin off, but there's, the skin is one of the most fatty components, of course, of the fish. And, there's a fatty membrane in there. And it also contains omega-3s, and it's actually delicious. In my opinion, some people even make it a delicacy. For example, when you go to sushi, you can actually order the salmon skin rolls, for example, which I love. Then we have 300 grams of Brussels sprouts and the rice beneath. And then right here we have the pineapple. So let's enjoy this last meal. Okay, it's a couple of days later now, just to show you a bit more literal weight progress. So if you remember, a few weeks ago, I stood on a scale in the gym and I was around 132 kilograms. Yes, I was wearing some clothing, but it just shows the general amount of weight that I was at that time. Now it's a couple of weeks later. I've been doing a mini cut for a week now, and the weight changes have been going down quite drastically. The whole reasoning for this mini cut again is to increase insulin sensitivity, be in a deficit, a caloric deficit, lose some body fat, just lose some stress off the body, some water weight, reset yourself, and then lean bulk for a few more weeks before starting the actual prep. If I would do the lean bulk the whole way through, it wouldn't be a lean bulk anymore. It would be, it would turn into a literal regular bulk where you simply not only accrue muscle, but also fat. And you need to lose the fat later anyway. So I want to use 6 weeks before the prep for proper muscle building with insulin sensitivity intact. And the only way to do that is to have some break, like a mini cut like this. But yes, my weight was 132 kilograms with clothing on, and now I'm at home. It's going to be on a different scale, a digital scale from a different brand, but it's still going to show you the difference. So let me show you right now. Right, the scale is right there. Let's just zoom in a little bit, stand on it, and this is the weight. 128. So that's about a 4 kilo difference compared to last time, at least. So that just goes to show that a lot of people do tell me, why are you bulking to such a high weight, even though your weight limit, your weight cap for classic physique is at 112 kilos or 247 pounds. Well, this is the reason. I've only been doing this for a week and already losing several pounds or kilograms of weight just by doing 1 week of, yes, an aggressive cut, but it's only, it's only been a week and I've already lost a lot of weight. So just imagine what 20 weeks of a prep will do. So I know my body, I know that's how it responds. So I simply need to push my body weight high as possible during the off season, of course with quality weight, and then drop down until a super conditioned body for the stage. Okay, so let me show you the actual difference between my true off-season plan and the plan I have right now on a training day. So this was actually the lowest of all the days that I would have. It says leg/back plan, but I ended up following this plan every single day. This is the base plan, and on top of this I would always have some extras. Like for example, here it says in Dutch, sweet potato. Instead of sweet potato, I'd have 500 grams of French fries, for example, with some added fats there, ramping up calories by even 1,000 a day, even more, as you saw on some of my videos on my channel. So on average, the base plan would be 4,677 calories, pretty much around 500 grams of carbs, 107 fats, and 367 grams of protein. And normally the carbs and the fats would be increased by quite a lot on some days. When you're in the off season, you go on top of the plan, eating some food that you like, which I've done quite a few times, which is also one of the reasons why I'm now switching to this plan. So this is quite a drastic cut. So at least according to the base plan, 700 calories lower, but in reality a lot lower on average, because now I'm following this only on training days, and on a rest day I'm going even lower than this, so about 60 grams of carbs lower. So on average it's going to be a lot lower than this plan which I used to follow during the off season, which got me to this. Well, that got me to that 129 fasted weight, 129 kilograms. So right now this is my training day plan. Less than 300 grams of carbs, a little more fats compared to the off-season plan, and the protein is about the same. It's automatically lowered because I lowered the carbs. So pretty much the breakfast is still sizable. It's almost the same size as before, except here you can see that the carb source is quite a lot higher. Oatmeal and rice flakes, both 75 grams. Here oatmeal and rice flakes is 60 grams and 40 grams. But the rest is pretty much the same. Every time you see the 30 gram here, that's the rice. Right here, that would be 60 grams, but I upped it to 100 grams on every normal meal. And let's see, here you see post-workout, it was 150 grams. I upped that to 170 grams at the top of my off-season. And here the post-workout carbs are 60 grams of rice. So a big carbohydrate difference compared to before. I did increase the amount of avocado though. Here you see 100 grams of avocado. Before I had 50 grams of avocado. It's all about lowering the carbs, and the fats can be a bit higher because you don't want to be in a super low caloric deficit. You just want to be in a caloric deficit and in a lower amount of carbs you eat throughout the day. That's the most important. So that's pretty much what the diet is right now. The thing and the biggest difference between an off-season and a cutting phase usually is that you have a base plan for both, but when you're cutting, you actually follow the base plan to a T. And in the off-season, when you're doing a lean bulk, you sometimes add stuff on top, replace carb sources, replace fat sources. So you have a base plan which you always follow, but sometimes you alternate things because mentally you also need to take a break from the strictness of a contest prep, of a cutting season. That's what an off season is all about. Do keep in mind that you always have to look at your shape, look at your weight gain, see if you're not going overboard. And once you do, you know that you're changing way too much about the plan. So have a base plan, follow it most of the time, and once every while, and then you can go out to eat, for example, which right now is pretty impossible with this current situation, but you know what I mean. So that's why a lot of bodybuilders, pro bodybuilders, do this as well. They follow a lean bulking plan or an off-season diet. They eat stuff they like on top of it, And when they then do a cutting phase, the first thing they do is remove all the junk from the diet, don't even look at anything else, and simply keep eating according to the plan, and they simply lose weight the first few weeks automatically because they keep their diet consistent without the junk, which means on average there's a lot less calories that are eaten. Now what I'm doing is I'm keeping it strict as well, removing all of the junk. I wasn't eating a lot, but still every now and then I was. So every single day is now the same, consistently. Training days a bit more carbs compared to the rest days, which has about 230 grams of carbs. And no junk at all, so everything is consistent with a lot less carbs compared to the off-season plan, which made me lose around 4 to 5 kilos already when you look at the fasted morning weight. This morning it was 124.5 and I actually reached above 129 before, so within a week it goes pretty quickly. Anyway guys, that was the video of today. I want to thank you for watching, and don't forget to stay golden.